Hello there and welcome to my reaction to the entire Guilty Gear story in 14 minutes. This popped up on my recommended some time ago and been there ever since. But now that I'm finished with the Guilty Gear Strive story that I actually wanted to experience in some way, whether it be just in a game or in the form of YouTube videos, which is pretty much the same thing since there's no gameplay in it. But why not just check out the whole story of Guilty Gear? And in 14 minutes, that sounds good. Let's see if I can remember anything that people said under the character themes for the characters at all. Because I'm probably gonna be surprised by things I've read in the comment section. But nonetheless, like and subscribe, become a member, and let's begin. Bob.
Okay, so our story starts with a character called the Original, whose IQ was so immeasurably huge that he managed to discover the Backyard, which is a parallel dimension that governs everything that exists. Using this discovery, he decides to create a robot called the Universal Will, which is tasked with bringing true happiness to mankind, but it gets confused and becomes the main antagonist instead. Are you with me so far?
Yes,
Apparently,
that's Ariel's,
at
and
the new
the Original
millennium,
becomes Happy Chaos
Y2K
later.
actually happens, and every single electronic device in the world malfunctions in an event known as the Dawn of Revival, which plunges all of humanity into chaos. Fortunately, there are 5 geniuses
Not so
known as
happy
the
chaos.
Apostles who knew that Y2K was going to happen and offered a new energy source, magic. A few years later, a researcher who at this point is only known as That Man kickstarts the Gear project alongside his colleagues Frederick and Aria. It doesn't last very long.
That's Asuka.
This research team entirely falls apart when That Man uses the flame of corruption to turn Frederick into the prototype Gear. Meanwhile, in an effort to prevent the United States from militarizing Gear technology, That Man decides to militarize Gear technology. The result of this is Justice, a mobile suit Gundam built on the body of Frederick's girlfriend with the ability to control any and all future Gears created. However, thanks to the Universal Will,
maybe she always did,
becomes evil and gathers an army of Gears to instigate a 100-year-long war against humanity called the Crusades. Her first mission is to convert all citizens of Japan into antimatter Gears to expand her army. That man looks at this and is like, oh shit, that's not good. And his solution is to blow up the entire country of Japan. After many years of battle, Kai Kisk's army, with the help of Frederick...
I mean, not the first time it happened, or at least not the only universe it happened in. Except this time it's entirety, not just 2 cities, but still.
Who now goes by the name Soul Bad Guy, seals justice inside a dimensional prison which puts an end to the Crusades. However, the prison only holds for about 5 years before weakening, which brings us to the very first Guilty Gear video game. In this game, Soul Bad Guy joins a tournament that is looking for the strongest fighters who can defeat Justice, but he discovers...
Oh, so Guilty Gear existed before the video games. Also, why did... Soul looks black in the character model, but not as black. Or not black at all in the picture, whatever.
First, that the whole thing is a hoax orchestrated by a person of indistinguishable gender
named Testament.
Testament revives Justice using themselves as a sacrifice, and Soul starts throwing hands.
And legs, and knees, and sword. Really, like this fight in 14-minute video, okay. 14-minute lore dump.
Yeah, Soul kinda whoops Justice's mechanical ass. But remember, Justice
Flame
was
of corruption.
Soul's girlfriend, so now he just has to live with the fact that he took the life of his one true love. Sucks for him, I guess. And this brings us to our next game, Guilty Gear X.
Guilty Gear Zex.
What? Nothing happens in this one, but it does set the stage for Guilty Gear XX Accent Core Plus R, where Kai Kisk becomes one of the 3 kings for a fictional nation known as Illyria, and also falls in love with Justice's daughter, Dizzy. This leads directly to
I've heard of this
series, Guilty Gear 2 Overture, where Kai and Dizzy have a son named Sin, but because Kai would rather be a king than raise a child, he gives his son to Soul Bad Guy. While out on a mission, Soul and Sin get attacked by an army of backyard creatures led by a woman named Valentine, who seeks to kidnap Dizzy and use her DNA to unlock the cube, which is a location in the backyard that allows any individual to control all of reality itself. Soon after, Sin experiences firsthand what it's like to have daddy issues, which causes him to run away in anger, but this backfires because Valentine kidnaps Sin and plans to use him to unlock the cube instead of Dizzy. Soul goes through a magical portal that takes him directly into the backyard and at the last second stops Valentine from entering the cube. Soul also manages to destroy the key to the cube, thus compromising Valentine's entire plan, putting an end to what would become known as the Baptisma 13 incident. Afterwards, Soul begins assembling a new weapon known as the Junkyard Dog from the pieces of a much more powerful weapon called the Outrage in the pachinko slot machine game called Guilty Gear Vastage XT, which takes place 3 months prior to the events of Guilty Gear Xrd Sign. In this game, a girl named Ramlethal declares war on the entire world, but then gets immediately captured by Soul. But then she reveals
now he's chunky. Now it's JoJo Part 3.
The leaders of the United Nations, known as the Conclave, can enact their true plan, which is to activate the cradle over the city of Babylon, causing an explosion and killing everybody. Why did they do that? Soul and
why not?
From an elite assassin named Zato 1 that the cradle is actually a teleporting spaceship which houses the Conclave itself, who have been warping back and forth between the backyard and reality this whole time. Apparently, the Conclave is planning to fuse their souls with the corpse of Justice and take over the world. The Conclave position themselves under a giant fucking lightning bolt and are ready to begin the revival process. But then Dizzy thwarts their operation with a magic thing. I would tell you
that's
what
proper
that
anime, not
is,
game engine stuff. That's cool.
Notes, and I mean, I fucking wrote this shit and I have no idea what it means. Now, up to this point, I've neglected to mention this girl named Elfelt. She literally just showed up to Kai's doorstep one day and has been chilling with the Soul bad guy crew ever since. Well, it turns out
Giovanna's
she's actually
eyes.
evil and reveals herself
green
to be a traitor,
glowy.
but not actually, because she was really being possessed by the Universal Will, who happens to be the Sanctus Maximus Populi, known as Ariels, who is also known as the leader of the entire world. Next game. While all that shit's happening, a sexy magical witch lady named Ino awakens that man's newest creation, Jacko Valentine. Apparently, Jacko holds one half of the soul of a woman named Aria Hale, aka Soul Bad Guy's
half,
former
not a third,
who got turned into this asshole. Meanwhile, Soul and his team are on a mission to find and save Elfelt from the clutches of the Universal Will. He learns from that man that this whole time, the Universal Will's master plan was to fuse Elfelt with Justice in order to create an actual perfect human being. Doing so will bring about some...
Oh, Elfelt is the other Jacko creation. Because in Strive, Jacko said there is another one of, like, her, similar thing to her that was made for Ina.
Something known as the Absolute World, which is the result of two quantum particles appearing simultaneously within the backyard, causing both the backyard and reality to merge for a split second, thus leading to the end of the entire world. In the Guilty Gear universe, this phenomenon is what killed the dinosaurs. So yeah, we don't really want that. In addition to saving the world, that man also grants Soul an opportunity to revive his long-dead girlfriend Aria. Her soul currently resides in both Jacko and Justice, so if you combine the two, you get a whole-ass waifu. But this process is extremely risky and involves firing a giant laser directly at the both of them. So that's exactly what they do. Unfortunately,
it makes sense, I mean.
The laser is just not strong enough, so they fire the laser directly at Soul so that he can use his weapon, the Junkyard Dog, to amplify the output of the laser just enough to finally complete the fusion process. With Justice destroyed and Aria revived, the crisis is averted, and the Universal Will is taken into custody. When the dust finally settles, Soul and that man have one more meeting before parting ways. That man, hiding away in the shadows for so long, finally takes off his hood and reveals himself to be
the Gear Maker,
who goes by the name of Oscar R. Kreutz.
Why is he good?
That means? It's time for Guilty Gear Strive, bitches! 3 weeks after the events of Xrd, Ino breaks into the prison cell of the Universal Will and takes directly from her boobies a man named Happy Chaos. You see, at some point in time, Happy Chaos stole half of Ino's powers, which is why she wants him to give her powers back so she could become a god. Happy Chaos just thinks this would be really funny, so he agrees to work with her. Meanwhile, Oscar turns himself in to the United States government and is personally escorted by President Vernon to the White House, where he can go into hiding in the basement. He does this right before the G4 Summit event, which sounds like...
Curious. Yeah, half of the video is Strive, or maybe maybe even more than half of the video is Strive. That's very surprising. How kind of a little story there is, or at least like the main story, not go into character details and stuff.
The title for a Smash tournament, but is actually an event where the top world leaders gather at the White House to discuss politics, and more importantly, where White House security is top-notch. Asuka needs this kind of security.
I hear the smell of the game.
Protecting a very powerful magic book known as the Tome of Origin, which Ino needs in order to become a god. Meanwhile, Happy Chaos and Ino determine that since Soul Bad Guy has saved the world on multiple occasions, they should probably find a way to prevent him from doing that. Fortunately for them, Happy Chaos has prepared a trump card, a samurai vampire named Nagoriyuki, who's hidden directly underneath this residential apartment building. He could just walk in and make his way to the basement,
Or... Yoink. That was so sick.
Moving on, Ino then lets herself get caught by the police, which was part of their plan, but pretty much everybody finds it a little suspicious that this all-powerful character got arrested by a bunch of nobodies, so they're going to have Sol present at the White House for extra security just in case Ino is planning something. But none of that matters, because when G4 actually begins, Happy Chaos mind controls all of the White House guards to be under his command, and now the White House is completely defenseless. Happy Chaos walks into the G4 meeting room and politely asks President Vernon to take him to where Asuka is located. Luckily, Sol rushes in and punches Happy Chaos in the face, and then he books it out of there alongside the president. Happy Chaos then says fuck it and decides to activate a previously classified government project known as Tir Nanog, spelled like this, which reveals that the White House is actually a giant floating airship, which is now en route to crossing the borders of Old Mexico, potentially leading to the White House getting shot down and starting a war. It suddenly dawns on Asuka that the amount of knowledge and magical power required to perform all this crazy shit can only lead to one truth. Happy Chaos is actually the creator of magic himself, the original. Meanwhile, Baiken is plotting her revenge against Happy Chaos for killing her friends and family all those years ago during the Crusades.
Oh,
which
so
attracts the interest of this
another story is
girl named
included
Delilah,
here, okay.
whose brother was also killed by Happy Chaos *, and wants to help Baiken kill the man. Baiken named Delilah, whose brother was also killed by Happy Chaos
Delilah's brother Badman was actually killed by his strange illness, which was fully activated by Venom and Robokai. Okay. Venom? I don't know what that is. Unless it's the one from Spider-Man. Who went after him because he was an underling of the Universal Will. So basically the Universal Will is the reason why Batman died. But Happy Chaos was controlling the Universal Will from within her boobs. So by extension, Happy Chaos is technically the one who killed Batman. Somehow this one guy got killed by 4 different people and a disease all at the same time. Yeah. I mean, it's Guilty Gear, it makes sense.
And wants to help Baiken kill the man. Baiken doesn't exactly condone 12-year-olds conducting assassination attempts, so Delilah leaves to take revenge by herself and attempts to teleport straight to Happy Chaos, but fails and inadvertently creates a super high-density info space bubble directly above a massive city that can explode at any moment. Baiken is in the middle of assessing the situation when she is met with Ramlethal, who's a good girl now and was actually appointed to be the head of the Illyrian Brigade, all because she ate a burger. Baiken and Ramlethal enter a...
I read in the comments for this video that it's not because she ate a burger. It's because she ate a burger and a comatose man killed her dog. Or something like that, and I want to know more.
Magical door portal, which brings them on board an airship alongside May, April, Sin, and Faust. If there's any team that could prevent a crisis, it's this one. Using a very long...
Wait, what's the nicknames?
If there's any team that could prevent a crisis, it's this...
So many goddamn dolphins. True, tits. True. This man dead-ass things babies pop out of your eyeballs. True. What the fuck? Yeah. Faust is pretty cool. I still can't get over the fact that she was a villain until she ate a burger. Like, that's real. I'm not making this shit up. Again. I'm not gonna repeat again.
Using a very long rope, dragons, and a big door, the team manages to
Big
slice
door
the
was
info bubble in
sick.
half, preventing the city from exploding and
I
saving
literally
the lives
just
of
saw
over
this.
120,000 citizens. Baiken and Delilah completely give up on revenge, and Faust does, whatever that is. Who
Yeah.
gives a shit about all that?
I don't know what happened. Maybe the video, another story I just watched in another video was probably previously, yesterday maybe, that came out on the channel. Maybe it's explained in the comments there, but right now I don't know if he died or if his soul left the body. In the comments for another story video, not my reaction, but the original one, people said that's the reason he's like that in the in like the versus mode and stuff. And I don't know what that means since I never played the game yet. So I don't know what happened
The
to
city is safe,
Faust.
and with that crisis out of the way,
But I'm
let's
still
go ahead and
curious.
check back in on the White House. What is he doing? The U.S. Pentagon decides
bored.
that the only solution to stop the White House from entering Mexico is to shoot it down. But they can't do that until Sol, Vernon, and Asuka are escorted off the aircraft. Conveniently, the room that Asuka is currently occupying is actually an escape pod. So Sol and Vernon start heading down there, and along the way, Vernon reveals himself to be a cyborg. Asuka attempts to use his epic
that was
magic
weird.
skills to redirect the White House away from Mexico, but is interrupted when Happy Chaos telepathically instigates a magic duel to the death. At first, Happy Chaos appears to get
more like
absolutely bodied.
to a
Then he's like,
knockout.
wait a second, I'm a god. And then proceeds to go absolutely sicko mode on Asuka's ass. Meanwhile,
He does.
Sol and Vernon
That was
end up
cool.
running into Nagoriyuki, who has just been chilling in the White House this whole time.
Nagoriyuki's
Sol
also
takes this as
cool.
an opportunity to get Nagoriyuki to tell him what Happy Chaos's weakness is, but then accidentally kills him in the process. Whoops! Still, they manage to make it to the escape pod. But
that
upon
what
opening the
Nagoriyuki
door, Happy
wanted.
Chaos teleports inside and locks himself in with Asuka. But then Asuka comes out with his Uno reverse card all like, fuck you, I was
Yeah.
never actually in the escape pod, bitch. They eject Happy Chaos off
Somehow.
the White House
I have
and
no idea how
redirect
that
the
happened.
safety. Crisis averted yet again. Phew! Glad that's over.
But has it? That's
But
episode
suddenly,
8.
The tone shifts as Asuka decides it's finally time to rid the world of Sol Bad Guy. He removes the flame of corruption from Sol, leaving behind but an ordinary man, Frederick Bulsara. The curtains finally close on a story
still part
23
gear,
years
right?
in the making, and a
I
dawn
think
of
someone
a
told
new
me.
mankind shall begin.
No.
But wait, because it turns out that the Happy Chaos that was ejected from the airship was fake and actually just some random guy that looked like Happy Chaos, while the real Happy Chaos was just sitting there, chillin'. Happy Chaos takes directly from Asuka's boobies the Tome of Origin, which allows Ino to finally
boobies tome.
transform into a god and do literally anything she wants.
booba
And the
tome.
worst part is, Sol can't do shit about it because he's just a regular dude now. The first thing Ino does with her newfound godhood is reenact the end of Evangelion. Which, I mean, fair enough. I would probably do the same thing if I were a god. But then she says that, with the flame of corruption no longer implanted in anyone, the only thing that can defeat her now is its counterpart, the Scales of Juno. But who the hell is implanted with the Scales of Juno? Well, the Scales of Juno were originally implanted into Justice, but with the power of family trees, bullshit, God, and anime, the Scales
Yeah?
of Juno were miraculously passed down
Kai.
genetically to none other than Kai Kisk.
Okay, how Kai Kiske obtained the Scales of Juno. Okay, so previously stated, Jessie was the first to be implanted with Scales of Juno. Justice would then pass on the Scales of Juno to her daughter Dizzy. Dizzy would then fall in love with Kai, and the Scales of Juno would be passed down to their son, Sin. However, when Sin was born, he was just way too fucking powerful, so Kai, being the incredible father he is, decided to scoop his son's eyeball out of its socket. I've heard that it's like a theory, or not confirmed or something like that, but I could be wrong. It's been a while. And I'm stupid. Swap it with his own limit, with his own two limit Sin's power levels. Because Kai shoved his son's eyeball into his own socket, he managed to gain a small amount of the Scales of Juno within his eyes, and now he has the ability to use Dragon Install, which is very cool. Or at least, I think this is how it happened. I'm not really sure, because, well, this was the explanation given to me by Strive's GG World Mode. Strive's Guilty Gear World Mode. Okay, there are some sources on the internet that say the cause of the Scales of Juno within Kai is unknown, since apparently the creator of Guilty Gear has stated in the past that Kai gained the Scales of Juno through his relationship with Dizzy. I guess he got them by fucking her, I don't know. Not to mention the fact that the entire r/Guilty Gear Reddit community won't shut up about gear STDs. What if Sol fucked someone? Can they get part of Flame of Corruption? Anyway.
Kai, with the necessary tools in hand, confidently stands up to Ino and
Also,
prepares
this is cheating. Saying, oh, in 14 minutes, which is closer to 15 minutes, but also there are multiple moments where there's a lot of text that you don't say and people have to pause to read it. That doesn't count. That's cheeky.
himself to protect the entire world in the ultimate battle of man versus God. He fails. After all
Yeah.
hope seems lost, President Vernon comes strolling
Not
out
enough
with a bin
scales.
of nuclear batteries capable of obliterating the entire world, which were kind of just lying around in the Oval Office.
Okay, it's to recharge his
Surprise,
hand, I
Nagoriyuki
guess,
is
but
not actually dead, and conveniently
course not,
tells
he's a
Sol that
fucking
Ino's blueprint
vampire.
is in her right hand. Using this knowledge, Sol fucking machine guns those nuclear batteries all over Ino's right palm, completely eviscerating her
lasers.
from this planet and finally putting an end to the stupid
it kind of... It's the same as they did in this one, where they had to laser Jekko and Justice. Where they had to laser her with using the Judgment Dog? Justice Dog. Junkyard Dog. I think that's correct. It's kind of the same. I think it's might be also the same actual weapon, or maybe even the weapon that it's derived from that was more powerful, that because he was building it, and in the beginning of Strive's story, they talk about how he was building that for like 100 years or something, and if it dropped weirdly or accidentally, it could explode like half the planet or something like that, right? Whatever.
Ass, overly complicated storyline. The story ends with everyone doing their own thing. Soul starts building rocket ships in his backyard. Kai gives up on being a king. Happy Chaos comes back somehow. And Asuka backyard. Kai gives up on being a king.
Kai gives up being a king. So I did get that right, that he was stepping off because the text on the screen said that he's given up his power. But then this text pop up for the first time in history: humankind welcome an unhuman leader. I thought that was about Kai, and I got confused and thought that Kai still remains the king, even though it said that he kind of gives up being the king. So there's only 2 kings left, Leo and Daryl. But I guess it's someone else, because I think Kai was a human outside of Scales of Juno. I don't know.
Happy Chaos comes back somehow, and Asuka pursues his new
He's in a
goal and
paradox
true
or something,
intentions
I've been
throughout
told.
the entire series, starting his own Spotify podcast.
Oh, from the moon, I think.
This is all new to me, so I'm afraid I may not be very eloquent.
It's a very good, very well done video. I should have said in the beginning, this video is done by Steven, maybe Steven. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. It's incredibly well done. It went extremely viral for the channel with 4K subs. Got over 500,000 views, which is incredibly a fantastic job on his end. And yeah, subscribe to them, because I'd rather you subscribe to the original video than to me, because I just watched it myself. You can do that too. Anyone can do this shit. Anyway. Good. Now I'm caught up. Now I perfectly know all the story of Guilty Gear. Anyway. This was good. I like this a lot. I like Guilty Gear. I really got sucked into it through music, through the like characters' themes and stuff. I really enjoyed those, even with broken English as they are. And then I enjoyed the story more than I actually thought I would enjoy the story. Even another story which was kind of weird and not really out of place, but it just said what other characters were doing, which I actually appreciate. But if it wasn't there, that like the game itself wouldn't miss anything, or the main story of the game wouldn't miss anything. But still, I still enjoy that. I enjoyed all of it. And I hope you enjoyed this reaction of mine. I appreciated you watching it, and goodbye. Have a great life, because one of us has to.